listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Darius with GreenRope, and today we're going to talk about capturing leads. It should be a pretty straightforward webinar, as we're only going to be covering the creation and implementation of sign-up forms. As always, if you have any inquiries, please field them in the questions area of the GoToMeeting that is present on your desktop. So the first thing we're going to talk about really quickly is creating user-defined fields for the sign-up forms, which will be a means of customizing the data to more accurately represent your business. And then we'll talk about the actual creation, editing, and implementation of these forms. First off, capturing leads is obviously a very important element of the business world, because if you don't have a means of people expressing interest in your services, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful, essentially, because it all starts with people who are interested. And so sign-up forms allow you to really take data directly from people who are interested, and the fact that they are presenting this data to you is already a sign of interest. So someone taking action in your website or on materials that you provide to them is already a good sign of somebody who has taken the necessary steps to become a potential customer. And so that potential value to you is something that's extremely important. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the customization of the data itself. In group settings, which is accessible with this gear button here or under the settings option here for group, you have user-defined data. I've created a few just out of random tests that I've done before, including, favorite band for music as a short text. This is just for a test. Do you like eating chocolates frequently during the holidays? This is a select one, yes, comma, no. So this is the way of presenting data when you give and present options to your clients. How many pets do you have in your household is also a select one. Then you have like area of interest, which could be a select multiple in checkboxes, and you have it any of the options that you want to present. You simply separate by commas. So we have different data field types, which I'm not going to get into full detail, as that's not really the focus of this webinar. But in this area, you can create various data fields that are more representative, again, of your business, and can allow you to customize the information that you gather from your leads or potential leads. As you know, or as you hopefully know by now, throughout the site you have these question bubbles. So if you place your cursor on them, they appear with information. This one's probably one of the more important ones on the whole site, as it explains these different data fields and the types that you can create. So once you've gone in and you've created data fields, or obviously you don't need to create the data fields, but this is an option and is highly recommended as one of the first steps when you're starting to use your GreenRope system. But after you're done creating those, you can then go to the sign up form section and actually create a form. So I've already created one in my group before, but I'm actually going to build a whole new one for the test, or for the testing purposes of this webinar. So test form, this is just simply the name that's going to be referred to internally, just like this one. Then you choose a design. The design, all of them are presented here. We have some older models, and then we have some newer ones that we are adding into the system. So you can take your pick of one of these as a more simple choice for these design options. So for example, I'm just going to do aqua round. I like this one quite a bit. Then you can choose the language that you'd like to have. And any of these options up top are essentially for the textual information that's presented on the form itself before you actually start getting into more of the functionality options. So here you can put in information or instructions such as fill out the form below to receive further marketing materials, or whatever it might be. Any text that you put in there, you can edit it. You can even add an image in here. So this WYSIWYG editor is similar. It's a simplified version of what we present for the emails that you can create within the system. But you have the ability to put in your logo or any other options in here. Then you have the join action button. So join or submit will be the call to action. Here's just the size of the text on that button that you can adjust. Here is if you have, well, this will be explained down here, but essentially you can have the sign up form, have people join multiple groups if you need, or you can make it optional for them to join groups based on areas of interest. So if you have, I don't know what the particular example would be as a business, but let's say you have different areas of interest or types of services that you offer, then you'd have different groups for those areas of interest, and you'd allow the client to select the groups that they want to join, which in turn would, through the marketing automation that we offer, depending on what group they join, they'll start a particular drip campaign, and so on and so forth. So those are all elements that are part of the marketing automation that's well within the abilities of our system and our integrated system. So you have these form options where the groups list is displayed. Again, this is for if you want to choose it to be optional. And then the default text, I kind of like bigger text. It usually makes it easier on the eyes and such. So you can choose these options here. And I'm actually just going to change the font to maybe a dark blue, just to see what that looks like. So those are the form options and the actual design elements. Now you're getting into more of the functionality. What group, again, will they join? So I think the general practice is to have them automatically join a group. So for this, I just have them join the test group. And you can have them automatically join multiple groups. And as I mentioned before, you can have it optional to join multiple groups, where in that case, you are presenting your potential client or whomever it might be the ability to choose what groups they will be joining and what information they will ultimately receive from you. By default, the gathering of information. So this is probably arguably the most important element of the sign-up form itself, is what information you're actually going to be pulling from the client. So email is required, as all of our forms are opt-in or double opt-in, as they say. So that means that when someone fills out the form, they will confirm that they have submitted it, and then they will receive an email, which will then corroborate that they are actually, in fact, the person who filled out the form. And this limits, bots, which is something that's come up a few times with different clients. But more importantly, it also verifies and shows that someone is really interested in your services. So we actually have an article, which I will highlight a little bit later, that allow you to see the benefits of having double opt-in as opposed to single opt-in forms. So I'm just going to turn on email, first name, last name, company, and maybe a mobile phone if I want to send text messages, for example. And then again, any of the data fields that I've created in the past are all located in this section down here. So I'm not going to turn any of, well, I'll turn on one of them. Which one was it? Area of interest. I'll turn this one on just to give an idea of the different types of information that you can have. And then I'll do the chocolate ones as well. So you can see that with the select multiple and the select one options. So once you have these set, then you can move on to the next element, which is the last element. And these are the form options. The form options are important as they are the follow-up and the back end instructions that the form will then follow. So security versus ease, this is a capture form versus non-capture. You can do it either way. I think there's schools of thought as to which is better or worse. I I believe that again, if you truly have interested customers, I don't think that they're gonna mind filling out a little bit more information in order to receive the information that they are looking to attain from you. So I think turning that on is totally a good option, but obviously it's up to you if you want to. Error action. This is if there's any issues. We've just designed the ability to either resubmit the form or simulate the back button, so it'll take the person back to have them refill out the form. So that's an option that you have. Emails sent from, so this is a customized option. This is originally based on the information that's present in my account, but you can always change this for each form and customize it to your needs. So step one, email alert sent to. This is and pertains to the confirmation email. So when someone fills out a form, before they confirm via their email and the confirmation link that they're sent, you can actually be informed by this. So if you wanted to add someone to this, you could add in, like, let's say Darius at greenrope.com. So I'll be notified of someone filling out that information. Confirmation email. So here I have the standard confirmation, which is something that we provide to you. If you wanted to set up your own confirmation email, you're more than welcome to. However, and this is where these handy dandy question bubbles come up, you have to put in confirmation placeholder just as is in that exact text within the text of the email. And if you send it out as a test from the email page itself, all it will show is a confirmation placeholder or a blank space. The only way that this is activated is when it's used as an email for sign-up form. So if you want to test out your sign-up form and the confirmation email that you design, the only way to do so is to actually test out the form. So that's just a heads up for that. And there's another thing that I forgot to mention before with the design options. So we've provided you designs, but you have your own web page option here. If you choose that, you're more than welcome to, but you have to follow these instructions to place this content, which is CSS and essentially directions that will allow our system to communicate with your form design. So those are options that you have. Moving forward, the thank you URL. So this is the first URL that they will hit when they first fill out the form. So the first step after the form is filled out. And then the second one is for after they've filled out or pressed the confirmation link within the email that you provided to them when they filled out the form. So these are two important steps, and they tie into, for example, if you wanted to do conversion tracking, generally conversion tracking is done by stages. So if someone hits a thank you URL, that means that they've performed an action that is of value to you. So again, that's a topic for a later webinar. We've covered that before, and we will probably cover it again. But essentially, it's important to have these ideas in mind because, and to make it relatable to you all, when you all, or if you all haven't yet filled out your request for a trial, you reached our stage one. So the thank you URL that you hit originally actually placed you in our stage one. And then when you actually activated your trial account, you hit another thank you URL, and that is your stage two. And then when you became or if you became a paying customer, then you hit our stage three. So that's all based on conversion tracking, and that conversion tracking code is placed on the thank you URLs, which again means that someone has performed an action that is of value to you. And then you have the option, if they're already in the group, to remind them of it. Actually, one thing to cover on these thank you URLs, I've seen that this is kind of a general practice, but you'll want to add a blurb saying, thanks, please check your inbox for the confirmation email, and then add something just in case that says, it might have landed in your spam or junk folder, so please check there. I've seen that I've countless sign up forms for people in different elements that I've signed up for. So I took that as kind of a general practice. And it's always good to provide as much information to your clients as possible to eliminate, the amount of frustration or speed bumps that they can run into. So that's just a little blurb for that. And then here you have some of our marketing automation. Activate workflows, and workflows are a series of activities which can be created in the CRM activities tab of the contacts page. So this is where you can actually use one of your workflows to activate them when they fill out the form. You can send them a coupon, and coupons can be created under the apps section here under coupons. Notification email. So this is who will be notified of these signups when they actually occur. Create/send login. This is for if you have a membership site or a membership kind of platform, you can have them sent this information immediately after. So that's a choice that we provided. Allow if they're already in the group, are they allowed to submit the form, or are they just going to hit kind of an error if they've already been in the group? And again, this ties into the already in group URL option that's up here. Assign lead score. You can assign lead score based on the lead scoring module that we have under contacts here, lead scoring. Automatically update location. So this has to do with the IP address. Will it update their information to reflect where they're coming from? And then the last option is automatically research contact. So we have premium contacts research through Rapleaf, I believe is the name of the company. And just contact your sales representative if you'd like to turn that on for your account. I believe it's 5 cents per contact if in fact Rapleaf is able to find information that is pertinent to you to fill out for. Basically, if they have their email provided and some other information, Rapleaf can kind of fill in the spaces and fill in what their social media pages and other information such as that. And then lastly, you have autoresponders. Autoresponders are a series of emails that you can have send out based on the fact that someone has signed up to the form that you've provided to them. I personally wouldn't use autoresponders unless you want to send out 1 or 2 emails directly. Reason being is because we have the drip campaigns, which I mentioned before, and drip campaigns are activated by the fact that someone's joining your group, which by the fact that they are filling out a form, they're going to be joining at least one group in your account. The reason being is because drip campaigns have a much more robust view of where people are in the drip campaign. So you can see if someone's in message 1 out of 3, so on and so forth. You can move them forward, you can move them backwards based on individual necessities. Whereas autoresponders are the only way that you can stop someone from receiving autoresponders is by actually removing them from the fact that they signed up, which will be shown here in the who section when someone fills out a form. So it's just an option, but it's done the same way as the drip campaigns, which again we've covered in past webinars and probably will cover in a webinar in the near future. But essentially, any emails that you've saved in your account, you can then use as potential emails to send with choosing the delay of hours and such. So again, there is an advantage to the autoresponders with the amount of time that is allotted and can pass before they're sent an email. Drip campaigns are sent once at one particular time every day, so you have a little bit more control with these autoresponders in terms of that factor. But again, I would personally use drip campaigns over autoresponders. So now that we've filled out all these elements, you can save it. And we are ready to test the form. So all these options have been filled out, and I'm going to test it on the back end. So here's what it looks like. I made the text a little bit larger and such, but it gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to fill this out just to ensure that, you know, it's all working as it should. And I'll just use the word. Again, this is where I put in the select multiple option. So I'll just do, you know, choose one of these and do I like to eat chocolates frequently? Absolutely. And then U is my capture form. And there we go. I'm submitting the form and it will hopefully process my request. So again, this is the default thank you page. If you wanted to set up a personalized thank you page or something that's more reflective of your business, you can go ahead and do that and place that into the form options. So now that I have that done, I'm actually going to show you that I can receive this information. And so really quickly, I'm going to my main account, and here is so this is the notification email to me, because remember I set up that Darius@greenrope.com would get their notification email. Here's the information that the person has provided to me, or that I've provided to myself in this instance. And then here's the confirmation email. Again, it's the default confirmation email, but this is the button that comes from the confirmation _ placeholder text that is placed into the emails that you can create. So I'm going to confirm this request, and it'll take me to the second thank you URL, which again is a default that we've provided to you, and you can customize and set up a different one if you want. And now I'm going to refresh this page, and we can see that I have subscribed to my own group because I am incredibly narcissistic and I love myself. And so it's going to take a moment, but as we see here, test form, and that who button does not appear until at least one person has subscribed or utilized the form. So you won't see the who button until at least one person has filled out the form correctly. And so here it is. Here's my information. I can look at my CRM. I can do all that. All of this is now present and tied into the system. So we have gone through the creation of the sign-up form and the editing. Now for the implementation. So you have three options as users if you have websites outside of GreenRope. And they are the link method, and they all are HTML coding, so you have to place it into the backend, the source code of your website. You have the link method here, which are provided in two options, and you have the iframe. They both work in similar manners. The link is not editable, so it's just, this is it, and it's going to present itself just like the page where I tested it. So again, if you want to tweak the design and do all that kind of stuff, I suggest tweaking the design, looking at the test link. And then for the iframe, you do have the ability to edit, but you only have the ability to edit the width and the height. So you can go in and you can change these to pixel metrics, and that will change the size of the form and where it sits in your page. Now, the last option is the form, although this form doesn't look entirely, it looks a little smaller. I'm not entirely sure why, but well, generally forms are a little bit longer in their information. So let me just pull up another one just so you can see what I mean. But essentially, you have the ability to change the HTML coding directly from the form code provided. So this is a more accurate representation. One thing that is an option if you are a WordPress user is you actually will want to, and this is direct from Ryan, you will want to copy only the form elements. So this is the end tag for the form itself, and you'll want to take this all the way up to where is the form? Somewhere up here is the form tag. I believe up to here, but it might be a little bit lower. If you have certain or special inquiries on WordPress, just send them over, and I'll clarify that more specifically. But essentially, you'll want to take this element of the form because the rest of the coding is more for backend on our system, and this is really what the form is retained into. Within here, you can change, you know, all of the elements. So if you're a designer, if you're an HTML savvy and all that, you can actually tweak the coding and then implement it onto your site directly. So these are options that we've provided to you. And again, it does require a little bit of HTML knowledge in order to truly make those tweaks. But that's why we've, you don't have to be an HTML wizard to be able to use the system by any means. That's why we provide the different designs and such to you. So moving forward, now I'm going to implement these sign-up forms to the site. So I'm going to go back to my testing group, and I'm going to show you very, very quickly how you can set up your site. And setting up a site, all you need to do literally is 3 things. 1, put in a URL. So this one in particular, my apologies. My computer is skipping back and forth between different groups. I need to reload. So all you need to do is set up the URL for the particular group or website that you're managing within the account. After you set up the URL, you can choose a design in the design tab. And then the last element to fiddle around with are is the pages tab. So as you see here, HTTP testing12345.greenrope.com. The design is this tabs pro wide, and I have a sign up form here that I've placed in from an earlier webinar, but I'm going to scrap that. And as you see here on the pages tab, I can actually edit the information that I have. So I'm going to eliminate this, and I'm going to put in the widget. So if you have your sign up form and you're building your site within GreenRope, you can place it in as a widget. And this is done with the sign up form test form, the one that I just created. Insert widget placeholder. Boom, it's right there. I'm going to save. I should save it up here. And then when I open my public site, my site will display with the sign up form if it wants to behave. Except that is my old one. Hold on, sorry about that. So widget, choose widget, test form, insert. Save the content first. I think I'm just experiencing a little bit of lag. So I apologize for that. While I'm waiting for this to do this, save changes. Aha, there we go. So there's my form, and that's how simple you can implement it onto your site. Again, if you're using a GreenRope site. If you are not using a GreenRope site, that's totally fine and well within your rights, of course. And you would simply go to the source coding and you would copy and paste the form. So let's just take the iframe, for example, for posterity's sake, and I will go to the sign up forms. I'm going to copy and paste the iframe. And the iframe, again, you're going to have to tweak around, you might have to tweak around the size of it and such based on how big the form is. But essentially, I can take the HTML coding and with the iframe here, copy, oops, go back to the website, pages, home, and I'm actually going to remove this. I'm going to go to the source code, and I'm simply going to, after this header, let's pull in, and again, I can mess around with it. I think the height is going to be well near maybe 1,000 pixels because it was a pretty long form, and the width is probably not going to be that much, maybe about 400. So we'll just play around with that and see what it looks like. Save changes, and then we will reload this, and it will look a little bit different as it's going to sit in an iframe, which again, you'll have to adjust a little bit and tweak. But it should be pulling this information. I think it's still waiting to save. So while I'm waiting for this to behave itself, let me look at some of the questions. Oh, Craig, yes, you should have been seeing a screen this whole time. So that's just part of the go-to meeting. If you haven't seen it, or if for whatever reason, we do record these webinars, so it'll be posted on the help section sometime in the next day or two. Is there an unlimited number of custom fields, Robert? Yes, you can create as many as you want. That's totally within the realm of possibilities of your account. Which is the best overall? I'm assuming that you are talking about the different types of forms here. There really isn't a best. It really just depends on what your comfort level is. The raw HTML coding is probably the best as you have the most malleability with it. But in terms of simplicity, really just building the form and then applying it as a widget is probably the easiest. Something that's advantageous as well with the iframe and with inserting it as a widget or a link is that any edits that you make to it on the back end will then be reflected on the form that's live on your site. So that's something that's advantageous in terms of integration. Now, if you implement the HTML coding, the raw HTML coding, that obviously works. But if you ever change the form or change options in the form, you're just going to have to take out the original HTML coding that you implemented and put in the newly updated coding that's provided by the system. So that's an option that you have, and kind of highlights the benefits of one versus another. So we utilized this option last month, had over 50% of those that signed up not confirmed. The junk box notice was included in the initial email. How can we improve this percentage? We use CAPTCHA instead of double opt-in. You can't use CAPTCHA instead of double opt-in. Dan, that's more of a question. If you want to send over the details to support@greenrope.com, we can inquire with our ISP relations manager to see if there's anything going on specifically with the account in those sense. But yeah, 50% is pretty low, I'd say. It should be landing in the inbox. I've honestly never had an issue. I really mean never. With my deliverability. However, I've also been sending primarily to Gmail and to like Zimber accounts that we have or that I have. So maybe over time it's recognized that over the past 3 years that I've been here, that it's clearly not junk mail or anything. So that could be a factor. But like I said, if you want to submit over that information to us, please do. I will take a look or submit the information so we can get you some proper guidance for that. That's a little bit of a large question to kind of surmise. in this webinar. All right, excellent, Craig. I'm glad you can see us now. Some suggestions: hidden timestamp option, inline validation, modal pop-up tips help, or more info would be nice. Certainly, the timestamp option is actually already done, and it actually, when someone submits their information, they are timestamped, and it does reside in their CRM, so that's already in there. Inline validation, I'm not too sure about what that means, but if you want to send over those elements and the specifics of what you're referring to suggest at greenrope.com, that will be awesome. As our system grows and we really become and evolve thanks to the suggestions of all the users within our system. So please send over that information and we can take a look at that as needed. So here's, remember I toyed around with the iframe and I almost got it right. The iframe might need to be a little bit larger. As you see, I still have a scrolling effect that happens due to the fact that my form is longer than the iframe is designated. So that's one thing that I would have to adjust, but again, I can just go in and tweak it. It's at a height of 1,000, maybe I'll put it to 1,200. That might help out. And so we can take a look at that. But essentially, what we're boiling this down to, what I'm getting to is it's really, really simple to create these forms in the back end and then simply place them onto your site as needed. So now the iframe sits in that form and it still has, I think it's still waiting to save actually. Well, let's see. Here we go. So now I've increased that height and see I don't have the scrolling effect. The scrolling effect is from the website itself. So if you toy around with that, the dimensions of that, you can have the scrolling effect not take place from within the site itself. And as you see, in less than, about half an hour with some waiting time on loads and such, within a half an hour, you have some information and something up on a site. Now, obviously, this isn't the most aesthetically pleasing site in the world, as it's solely for testing purposes and done more for the haste of it. But you see how readily available these resources are to you through using our system. So that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to discuss today. As always, if you have questions, concerns, comments, otherwise, just feel free to contact us directly at support@greenrope.com. Oh, the last thing I wanted to mention that I discussed earlier is we do have an article that discusses the advantages of using double opt-in forms. If you go to the help section and search sign up forms, topics, there's one near the bottom here. Why sign-up forms are confirmed opt-in. So we have this information present to you to kind of help with the education process of why we've decided and why we use this. And it's actually by law we have to do it. But here this explains the advantages to you in case you have any doubts on that. And then lastly, when this webinar gets processed and everything, we will be posting it to the recorded webinars link found in the help section. So I really, as always, thank you very much for your time. Your due diligence and use of our system is something that we all appreciate. And again, if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, please email them to support@greenrope.com. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and your weekends that are soon upon us. For me personally, this is one of my favorite times of year as the World Cup is on. Despite my Spaniards bowing out a little bit earlier than anticipated. But we have the US on lockdown against Portugal. So if you guys have some time, even if you're not soccer fans, it's due to be a juicy set of athletic display and such. So as far as anything else goes, please let us know and contact us if you need anything else. And thanks very much for your time. And we'll talk soon. Bye.